Welcome back, everybody, to the Below Average Joe's MMA podcast, episode number 85. We're back with another preview, this time for UFC Vegas 23. Put a hashtag in front of it, headlined by a very interesting fight between Marvin Vettori and Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland stepping up for a second main event in, three weeks?
Are we surprised?
We're not, but as always, your hosts, Noah B. and Dominic Salee. We end another week. Dominic, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
The UFC returning to ABC Network for their second stint. Big deal.
Good thing to note there.
And a great afternoon of fights with a great main event. I'm a little sad we didn't get Vettori Till, but Holland looking to bounce back big after really getting dominated by Brunson a few weeks ago. He could come out and make a statement, and it would be as if that fight never even happened.
Yeah,
so,
that's really true.
Who knows what could happen here. It's a great day of fights, and I'm just so happy to be back on the microphone. In the booth.
Yeah, remind us to never
take this long of a hiatus.
Seriously, and you're going to see why here momentarily, because it's time for the news.
It's a whole newspaper. It's a whole newspaper. But we have to give our thoughts on there's a lot of shit that has went on since we were last here.
There's less words in the Bible than what we have on this Google Doc right here.
All right.
So we're just going to go ahead and start with the fight announcements. First, we got a couple for May 8th. The first one being a very intriguing strawweight matchup between Angela Hill and Amanda Ribas.
Yeah.
This is really a good matchmaking.
It is a good matchup.
Because Angela Hill being that veteran who, like it or not, she's lost more than she's won in the UFC, but always kind of in these razor-thin, close decisions.
And they're always great fights.
Great fights. Sometimes she's been on the end of some decisions that maybe haven't been exactly ones we would agree with. I guess.
Yeah, tag controversial.
While Amanda Ribas, being that exciting prospect, did get kind of knocked off her high horse at January with that loss to Marina Rodriguez. That's the first loss of her career.
Second but first in the UFC.
So she's looking to bounce back here. What are your thoughts?
I think this is a perfect fight. If it wasn't Watterson for Ribas, then Hill makes all the sense in the world. The rising prospect, with matching her up with a seasoned veteran, and for Angela Hill, they're rewarding her for her activity and how she's always in these great fights, always putting on a show. So active, by far the most active women's fighter. And she's back again. A big test for both. Angela Hill trying to crack into the top 10. Ribas trying to bounce back and prove she can beat the seasoned veterans. I'm excited for this one. Stylistically, it should be a really interesting fight on the feet. And if it's on the ground, I would anticipate Ribas to get the advantage, but Hill is not a slouch when it gets to the ground either. It's an interesting fight.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot left to be answered about Amanda Ribas' game. Marina was able to kind of finish her on the feet. Even though Ribas has looked very competent at times in her stand-up, she is very much that kind of jiu-jitsu fighter. Get you down to the ground, finish you with an arm bar, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Angela Hill, someone else stand and bang all day.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't really have the knockout power of someone like Marina Rodriguez, but she does have that output and that pressure.
She got a lot of pressure.
And Amanda, you notice when she got hurt, now she got stunned bad by Marina.
Yeah.
But she kind of did, she definitely kind of just folded up. At least that's
Tried to survive.
Yeah, and we don't know what's going on in her head. She just got rocked. Yeah. But it could definitely, it'll definitely be answering some questions maybe that people have about Amanda's game coming off of that loss.
For sure.
Also on that same night.
Is this the main event that night? Do we know?
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's Neal versus Neal.
Yes.
Jeff Neal versus Neil Magny.
I love it.
Which I think the train likes it
too. The train does like it if you guys can hear the train in the background.
This is another really good matchmaking here. Neil Magny coming off a main event in January, one that he lost to Michael Chiesa.
Yeah.
While Jeff Neal also coming off a main event that he lost to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, both around the same time period.
And this fight was originally booked to happen in August before Jeff Neal got that nasty infection that happened.
Yeah, that's true. So you got Jeff Neal coming off a loss in December, main event, 5 rounds. Neil Magny coming off a loss in January, 5 rounds. Why not pair them up here? They're
Right.
both in very similar places in their career, even though they took different paths to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Magny's been kind of a guy that's sputtered when he's got to that top
Yep.
10, really, when he's trying to get into the top 5, while Jeff Neal kind of skyrocketed his way there, but had his first sort of...
Setback.
Yeah. So, any thoughts on this one?
11 versus 9, both looking to right their wrongs, coming in and correct the losses that they've each are coming in off of. And this is another fight where Neal can really stand and bang, and Magny's going to want to pressure, clinch up against the fence, maybe even probably would want to wrestle a guy like Neal with the power that he has. Another fight that really has a lot of X's and O's and could go either way.
No, I completely agree with you there. Those are both happening May 8th.
Yes.
This next one.
Okay. I mean...
UFC 262, the next week on May 15th.
Okay.
We have our first ever 5-round non-title fight co-main event.
It's a mouthful.
Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz.
What the hell? Okay, so this is headlined by Oliveira Chandler for the vacant belt.
Yeah, and then you also got Tony Ferguson, Beneil Dariush,
Yes.
which I think a lot of us thought would be the co-main event.
And then this happened.
And then this happened.
Did this hit you out of left field? Or
Oh,
did it hit you out of
100%.
left field?
I mean, I've really kind of been very vocal on this podcast about my frustrations with Leon Edwards and how he has really been looking for these, you know, these matchups, which sure makes sense from a rankings perspective, and he has every right to want them. You know, these matchups with Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal, a title fight with Usman, you know, things like that. But I've been frustrated with him because it appeared obvious to me that the UFC didn't value him enough to give him those matchups.
Yeah.
Because his name value is just nowhere near where these guys are. So I was just getting frustrated because it looked like he was basically hurting himself by not fighting.
Yeah.
He did take a fight that ended up being against Bilal Muhammad.
Literally was worse than him losing, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it really was. And now somehow he's matched up with Nate Diaz, who is the biggest money fight of all those guys.
Yeah.
I'm stunned. I really am. And, you know, I have to kind of eat my words there because I literally was like, there's no way Leon's going to get that. But
Yeah.
not only that, he's in the first ever 5-round non-title fight.
Well, we had just
co-main.
talked about this on This or That.
Yeah.
And you pissed me off.
Yeah.
But now they announced this, and I'm like, maybe I am a little open to it these days.
I
Because
will
you
s-
know this is just going to open the door.
It is. But part of me is also like,
Maybe that's not a bad thing.
it's kind of a weird.
It's weird.
It's kind of a weird fight to be like, this is the first.
Yes, that is a good way to put it. Because then you got to think that, like I said, it's going to open the door. So now we're going to get, you know, like top 5 matchups where we wish people could go 5 rounds. We're probably going to see those more. Now, I don't think this is going to be a common occurrence like every single pay-per-view. But when there are highly demanded fights or highly ranked fights that aren't for titles and that aren't main eventing fight nights, they may just be able to slide in on these 5-round co-mains. So don't expect them to happen too often, but when they do, just know they're going to be huge. And this one is huge. Leon getting to fight the biggest name, deservedly so. And for Nate Diaz, he could literally win. Like, listen here. This is what the UFC would love.
Yeah.
Nate to beat Leon, Jorge to beat Usman, Conor to beat Dustin in July. If those 3 things happen, the UFC is on a yacht, just money signs all over the place with all the possibilities. But
Right.
again, this is a huge fight for both guys because literally if Nate wins this, he's top 3 welterweight, and they'll likely give him a title shot. Let's just be honest.
It's bizarre.
And you'd like to think that if Leon wins, he finally will get the title shot, I think, but maybe not because Colby's there and I don't know, but this fight is really cool. It's going to be a stand-up war, we know that.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Absolute battle
It's
here.
tough to really gather my thoughts because, truthfully, there's nothing here on paper that's bad. I mean, it's all good. I'm happy for Leon. I'm happy for Nate. I'm happy that they're getting this kind of stage, this platform. You know, it's the first
Yeah.
of something like that adds a little extra
Yeah.
special to it. But at the same time, it is just so out there. Like, it's just so
This
different.
got announced and I was like, what?
And all respect to these guys for, obviously I could see why Leon would want this fight. On paper, he should have the advantage
You would
here.
think, yeah.
But
we'll see how it goes if it gets to the later rounds.
It makes sense making it 5 rounds
Yep.
with a guy like Nate Diaz, who he tends to get better the longer the fight goes, no matter how much he's getting beat up.
And Leon, we've only seen there so many times, so this is interesting. And like I said, when it's going to be a stand-up war, it'll be interesting to see who fades and who does not fade. And if neither man fade, man, we could be in for quite a battle, potentially.
Yeah, completely.
But I could also see this being one-sided. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff.
Hopefully, what I care about most is that hopefully for Leon, it's clear. It's a clear win or clear loss.
Yeah. No more eye pokes.
No more uncertainty.
No contest.
Yeah, none of that. That is happening May 15th, UFC 262.
Oh, that card's awesome.
Following that up, May 21st, Bellator 259.
They're back.
Chris Cyborg looking to make her next title defense of the Bellator women's featherweight title against a familiar foe in Leslie Smith. Fun fact about this one, Dom. Leslie Smith was Chris Cyborg's first UFC opponent.
Yeah, rematch, 5-6 years ago now?
It's
been a while since Cyborg debuted.
Yeah, so...
we all know what happened.
We named Chris Cyborg our women's fighter of the year for last year, so it's obvious we think very highly of her and the things she's doing in Bellator. Very kind of surprised that this is the fight that got announced, but... much like the UFC, I think Bellator is totally just trying to kind of, they're just finding opponents to put in front of Cyborg. And it's someone like Leslie Smith, who has fought her before.
Seasoned veteran.
Who has that name value from being a former UFC fighter. I can't hate it.
Yeah, exactly. And for Cyborg, it may just be another easy title defense. Maybe it will be an interesting fight. In her last fight, she got her first ever submission victory, which is hard to believe considering the career that she's had. So it seems that she's just getting better and better still, which is mind-boggling.
True. Now on June 12th, UFC 263.
Yes.
Likely going to be maybe I shouldn't say likely, but it might be the last time we see one of these guys in a UFC octagon. Damian Maia, the living legend, going up against Bilal Muhammad, who we just talked about.
And, I like this move for Muhammad because we had said after the Leon fight, like, okay, we're not big on the rematch, right? We agreed on that, but we wanted still something bigger than what Muhammad had been used to. So they match him up here with a legend in Damian Maia, who also, by the way, ranked number 8. So it's a win-win here for Bilal if he were to win. Now, if Maia comes in and does his thing, you never know. When this guy gets you to the ground, you're probably screwed. Like, you know what he's going to come in and do. So for Bilal, obviously, try and keep this fight on the feet. Go to work with that great striking that he has. And if it goes to the ground, Bilal is good, but he's not Damian Maia good. That's you got to be careful in this one for Muhammad.
You're correct in that. Damian Maia's got lethal jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
When a fight goes there, you saw a guy like Ben Askren, who, being such a accredited wrestler, got
manhandled
on the ground by
and
Damian Maia. Yeah, and put to sleep. So in this matchup, he's going to have that advantage there. He has the most elite skill set in a certain aspect of MMA. For Bilal Muhammad, he's probably the more well-rounded fighter, if you're talking about all aspects of MMA. But he's not really someone who's shown to be elite anywhere.
Right.
I've talked about that about a few different guys, but him specifically, nothing really stands out as being like, this is what makes Bilal Muhammad such an elite fighter. He's just kind of, he's good, he's competent everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
But can that hold up against a guy like Damian Maia, who... Sure, is Damian Maia much of a stand-up fighter? No. But he has fought the best of the best stand-up fighters.
Yes.
So he knows how to counteract that and get the fight into his zone.
He is going to be relentless.
And I don't care, you can make this argument, he's 43 now, he's old, this is just, a fight to get kind of Muhammad into the top 10. I disagree completely. Damian Maia, just 3 years ago, was fighting for a belt.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear that.
I mean, he's won 2 of his last 3. The loss, Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
Just fought for
and
the
he's
title.
only been finished via strikes 2-3 times in his whole career.
Yeah.
So you got to stop that nonsense. This is a very tough matchup.
I love this matchup by the UFC.
If Muhammad can really kind of make some strides in his stand-up and have some good takedown defense, because Maia's going to shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that title fight with Woodley. That man shot
23 times
and didn't get a single one.
Over 23, yes.
So if Muhammad can really work on those aspects, he should be able to really get a big
Picking
win
him apart
here.
on the feet, yeah.
Moving on. 1 week later.
Dare I say, this might be my favorite one out of these 12 fight announcements.
Yeah, you know what?
I'm going to be honest.
You might have me there.
In terms of the fight, oh my.
Dan Ige, who we just saw.
Fucking what, 22 seconds?
22-second knockout. He's back on June 19th going up against his toughest opponent to date, Chan Sung Jung, better known as the Korean Zombie.
He called it. Ige called him out. It's time.
And TKZ said, "Bring it, bitch."
Oh, man. Is this fight going to be a war or what?
Dude, there's no question.
This, I believe, is the main event of the fight night. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it is. And if it's not, they better switch it to the freaking main event. This needs to be a 5-round war. We've seen Ige go 5 rounds. We've seen Korean Zombie go 5 rounds. Neither one of these guys is going to wilt in front of the other. It's going to be damage from both people. Absolute just battle here. And very big implications as well.
Two guys who, when it comes to their offense, they're all gas, no break. But they do love to get hit.
Yeah.
So that should lead to
carnage.
As much as I want to say, like, oh, this fight shouldn't go 5 rounds, it probably will. These guys have 2 of the best chins in the whole division.
Yeah. We're going to see each of these guys, dare I say, on wobbly legs at least once in this fight.
And it should be an amazing fight. Korean Zombie looking to bounce back from a, dare I say, disappointing performance against Brian Ortega. While Dan Ige is really hitting his stride right now.
Holy, 1-punch KO in his last outing. Just had a baby. Now he's got dad strength. Got to think about that. Hey,
that's going to play in.
When we throw around the term beautiful chaos, it's fights like this that get with that label
true.
with it. You
so
know?
True.
That is an absolute banger. Number 8 versus number 5. Potential winner of that fight, 1 away from a title, depending on how that division plays out.
Ige, man, he could really, if he makes a statement.
Like if he starches Zombie,
I mean, that's
which
really,
no one does.
That could literally be all he needs to say.
Yeah.
All right.
Fresh blood.
I'm going to put my ticket in now.
Yeah, man. I love it.
1 week after that, a big matchup at heavyweight. I'm actually surprised that to see this man getting matched up here. Surreal Ghan, who he's kind of fallen out of the title picture for now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for now, he's kind of not really being talked about as a title contender.
Yeah.
But he's right there in the mix. And he's going up against another man who is also in the mix.
On a tear right now.
They call him Drago. Alexander Volkov. This could be Surreal Ghan's toughest matchup in the top 10 stylistically.
This is going to be a very technical striking battle here.
This might not be the most exciting fight.
Yeah, but damn it, I'm looking
You have a guy like Volkov who matches Ghan's length. He matches his pace. And then he'll slow it down.
Yeah, man.
He matches that distance control. Like, these guys are very similar in ways, but also very different, obviously. Yeah. And I'd be very interested to see if this fight could go to the ground. You know, we've seen Volkov kind of lack some of that strength he has on his feet.
And Ghan has submission wins, even in the UFC.
And Ghan has proven to be very good on the ground.
He's very well-rounded.
So I would be interested to see if this fight goes there, because Volkov, you look at that fight with Curtis Blades last summer, got pretty much manhandled for 5 rounds, all top control from Blades. Ghan could really pull off something similar. He's that talented.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what kind of game plan he
But I'll also be interested to see if Volkov, if this fight stays on the feet, can Volkov get the edge in the striking battle? Because it's really close. I mean, these guys are both very naturally gifted strikers.
And the way that Volkov just fought Overeem was the best we've ever seen him.
That's the Volkov who the UFC thought they were getting when they got a former Bellator heavyweight champion.
He had the perfect amount of patience, yet more aggressive than we've seen, and you saw the result. He went to work. It was beautiful.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm very excited for that one, even if it might not be the most exciting fight when it happens. July 10th. Here's one that'll probably be a little more exciting for you guys that like heavyweights.
Bam, bam.
Taito Ivasa versus Greg Hardy.
Someone's going to sleep.
Yeah, there's no way, right? There's no way this fight goes 3 rounds, right? Now, we did say that about Yorgan De Castro and Carlos Felipe.
You just find reasons to talk about that fight.
That fight will forever live rent-free in my head.
So this fight, though, Tuivasa Hardy, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's two of the bigger, prospects in the division. Both are right on the cusp of top 15.
Yeah.
It should be a banger. We're still waiting to see if Hardy's going to put it all together like he says he's going to do before every fight. And Tuivasa was on a 3-fight skid, but looked great in his last outing. Granted, it wasn't against the greatest opponent.
Harry Hunsucker.
Yes, Harry Hunsucker. Shout out Kentucky. So, this should be a knockout. Now, nobody's going to wrestle each other
Let's talk about it like this. These guys are in similar places, but when it comes to technical skill, Taito Ivasa's leagues above Greg Hardy. But for Tuivasa, that's not always his problem. A lot of times it's like he lacks some sort of motivation in the fight or something. He just kind of he goes into autopilot and coast his way to like a decision loss. And truthfully, Greg Hardy's weaknesses have been similar, but not his are more attributed to his cardio. Yeah. But he kind of just gives up once his gas tank's empty.
Yeah.
So this fight has all the makings of a banger for as long as it goes, or the longer it goes.
Yeah.
Being just one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. That's truthfully. This is happening at UFC 264, by the way.
We essentially have the whole card here.
This is probably
We honestly have 3 of the 5 main card fights, if we're being honest.
I don't know if this will be on the main card. This could definitely be a prelim fight.
They always find a way to put Greg Hardy on the main card.
That's true.
But either way, this should be banger. Should be bam bam.
I hope so.
Boom boom bang bang.
But Yorgan De Castro, Carlos Felipe.
All right, so the next one.
Yeah.
This is the one.
Yeah.
This is it. Gilbert Burns, coming off of his loss to Kamaru Usman against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah, this is the matchup. I love
this. Is Wonderboy just like the guy in this division that is just a fucking puzzle?
He is.
In the stand-up realm,
He is. His stand-up is such a puzzle, like you're saying. But Gilbert Burns is so fast.
He's a Swiss Army knife.
It's...
Man, when he knocked down Usman, I was like, whoa, what?
Yeah, people forget that Burns looked like he might win that fight in the first round.
Yeah. This is a great fight. This is the perfect fight to make for these two guys.
So... Let's try to articulate this stylistically. What kind of fight we're looking at here? For Gilbert Burns, he's gonna have a power advantage.
He's gonna have
a speed advantage.
But can he close the distance?
It's so easy to put it in those kind of terms like power, speed. Well, that doesn't matter with Wonderboy.
No,
he's just so fast at getting in and out of the pocket.
Oh man, it's beautiful.
That
in his range,
in out,
the karate style.
So that's really for Burns. How good is he on the feet? Can he solve that puzzle?
Yeah. that
so many great stand-up fighters before him have failed to do. It's tough. Now, you could have a performance like, think of like Anthony Pettis had, where you kind of just, you're losing the fight, but you land that one punch.
Right.
Wonderboy being kind of a smaller guy, not quite able to take that power. I could totally see that happening. Gilbert Burns is so fast.
Yeah.
And he does have a lot of power for that division. I just don't know if he'll be able to catch him. That's really going to be my question. Right. Can he catch Wonderboy?
It's very true.
Because really, I think if Wonderboy doesn't get hurt in this fight, I think it's going to be a very tough fight for Gilbert to win on the feet.
Yeah.
But you know how talented Gilbert is on the ground as well.
And we've seen Wonderboy on the ground. That's really where he flaws the most.
But it's so hard to get him there.
Yes.
He has the best takedown defense in the whole division.
It's very true.
I'm assuming this is a
fight that is so hard. Yeah, I would imagine. I would hope so. That is a fight that's so hard to predict, like, what could happen. I mean, literally almost any outcome. Outside of maybe Wonderboy by submission. But hey, even still, you never know.
But obviously our main event, though, for this card. UFC 264, happening on July 10th.
Everything but confirmed.
Yeah. The trilogy, looking like it's going to be on. Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor. And let me, I'll say it. It's weird, man. When the fight happened, I was really excited for the rematch, and it was a good fight. It lived up to my. I mean, it wasn't a war, but to see who I thought Dustin had really. I really didn't give him much of a chance in that fight, and he looked as good as he did, and even Conor had his moments early, but it was a great fight for as long as it went. And yet, when we hear this trilogy being announced, I just couldn't care less.
So, you kind of worded it well before we started recording. I'll let you elaborate on that. I will say another reason it may not be as intriguing as what you would think we would be reacting. Essentially, Dustin should just be fighting for a belt.
True.
Obviously, he chose to pursue this route, so I cannot dwell on that too much. Noah, I can let you go on your kind of reasoning behind your meh status on the trilogy here.
Mine doesn't really have as much to do with like where I think Dustin should be fighting. It's more because this first fight between these two happened 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you get the second fight in January of 2021. And now you're marketing this as like the trilogy, and it's happening the summer of 2021. I get it. It's the third time they fought. It just doesn't really feel like
because
a trilogy.
The first one's so far removed.
Yeah. Like, they're completely different fighters now.
Oh, yeah. So different weight class, too.
It feels like a rematch. It doesn't really feel like a trilogy.
Yeah.
You look at these great trilogies we've had with guys like Stipe and DC
that
recently.
comes front of mind, obviously. Where they're boom, boom, boom.
Or even like Liddell Couture for our guys that are fans of the old days.
Maynard and Frankie.
Yeah. I mean, they all happened within a reasonable time frame.
Not this long.
It didn't feel like they were just completely different fighters.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure I'll get more excited for it as it gets closer. But out of all these fight announcements, I'm just, I'm happy to see, Dustin's going to get another big payday. This gives Conor a chance to bounce back. The winner of this will likely be the first title defense for our winner at UFC 262's lightweight title
Oliveira,
fight.
Chandler.
So it has big implications. It's never that simple with Conor, and it's never gonna. And if Dustin wins, it probably won't be that simple with him either.
Well, and I don't know. I don't want to get too much.
We'll
get more into it.
It's just the more I think about this fight, I'm just kind of like,
Hey,
but no, I want to let you talk because I know you're probably more excited for it.
No, I was about to actually just move on.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm excited. Obviously, it's a huge fight. It's going to be one of the biggest fights of the year, clearly, and I'm a huge Dustin fan, obviously. But there's just still a part of you that's like, okay, it's Conor. So ideally, and I was telling Noah this, maybe we get kind of a Stipe DC situation where the guys finish each other one apiece in number 1 and number 2, and then maybe this third fight we just get a 5-round war, man. That would be what I want, ideal. In the true, may the best man win. Who is the better fighter, 5 rounds, and who's going to go into the belt? So we'll see.
That's a good point. It really only matters how the fight delivers once it's all, everything, all the bullshit's gone. It's just those two guys in the cage.
Yeah.
I don't like to buy into it, but I will say that, like, coming off of a fight where you saw a very relaxed Conor McGregor, very just humble and
nice guy,
and like, that's cool. But I'd be lying if I said it doesn't take away from some of the hype.
Mm-hmm.
You think back when he was going up against Eddie Alvarez and Nate Diaz and Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
The heat you could feel the
Yeah.
fucking heat between those two.
And I'll be interested to see how he approaches this one. I think he's going to kind of find that perfect middle ground.
I don't know. It's
because
just
obviously he can't just come out and be stupid.
Right.
Because then it's like, well, what the fuck happened in January? That you just know it's all fake. So he kind of screwed himself in that aspect because he can't act like he did in the first one. So there's going to be the respect there between the two and all that, but there's going to be there's going to be an angle that Connor's going to, at least I would imagine, try and pry at. Who knows though?
Yeah.
But at this point, I think Dustin just doesn't give a shit about that anymore. So I think it might be too late for that. I don't know. Anyway, that's July 10th.
2 weeks later.
Yes.
July 24th. We got
return.
a couple women's fights.
The return.
I want to let you.
These are on the same card.
you introduce this one because I know you're very excited about the return.
The return of Aspen Ladd, the biggest prospect in the women's bantamweight division, going up against the other biggest prospect. Really, both of these fights in terms of prospects are the top two in each division. Macy Chiasson from New Orleans. This is going to be an interesting fight. Aspen Ladd coming off of like a torn ACL, all kinds of injuries, and her first ever professional loss. She's 9-1. She's still ranked third, and she's just been hanging out there forever. She lost to GDR in July of 19, bounced back and beat Yana Kunitskaya, who hasn't lost since then. But that was in December of 2019. We have yet to see Aspen return. Like I said, a lot of injuries there. And for Macy, she just fought Marion Renault. What was that, like? I think it was in February. It wasn't very long ago.
Yeah.
And she's 8-1, only one loss, on a tear right now. A great striker. This is a very interesting matchup, and it's a matchup that makes a lot of sense and something we need in this division right now that seems so just stale. So putting up these two new faces, quote unquote. Obviously, they both have been in the UFC for a little bit, but when you pair them up like this, a big win for either could go a long way when the people at the top have already fought for the belt. So it's a big fight in that sense, especially if you're Aspen Ladd. She could honestly probably win and be next because she's up there at
Think
number
about
3.
if Macy wins this fight. It
It's
jumps
huge.
all the way to like top 5.
Yeah, she could jump all the way.
That'd be pretty insane.
Yeah, she's currently number 9. So this is number 3 versus number 9. Again, it should be a great striking battle, and I'm looking forward to it, just seeing Aspen return.
Yeah.
It's been too long.
No, completely agree. Also, on the same night, Macy Barber and Miranda Maverick. You said it, top 2.
So
I'm conflicted on this one, as I think you are too, and I'm going to let you articulate.
I hate this fight,
Yeah.
but I love this fight.
Yeah.
This is the two youngest and brightest prospects at women's 125 pounds. Literally, what is it, number 15 versus number 14, if I'm not mistaken? Right there. But, and stylistically, it's an incredible fight.
Right.
It really is. But do you want to pair up your two brightest young up-and-comers in this division this soon in their careers? And I think that's where the issue comes into play.
And I'm wondering, does this mean that they're getting a little lukewarm on Macy Barber?
Man, I don't know.
I think that'd be a mistake because I think she's very talented.
Yeah, man, she's still so good.
And
so young.
this is not a fight necessarily. I'm not saying that the UFC is setting up for Miranda Maverick to win this fight. I mean, Macy Barber is arguably the bigger name.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is just another tough matchup for her. This is another killer.
Literally 22 years old versus 23 years old.
But, I mean, I get it. 14, 15. Like, these are the kind of fights that Macy's going to have to win if she wants to be, you know, she is who she claims to be. She's like, I want to be the youngest champion ever. I know that's probably not going to happen now, but she very much...
It's the mindset.
Her mindset is, I'm a top 15, top 10, top 5 fighter.
Yeah.
So she's going to have to win some of these.
And Maverick is an animal.
Yeah.
A freaking animal. She is so well-rounded. She looked so good in that fight against Jillian Roberson. Now, Jillian looked good in round 2, but rounds 1 and 3... all Miranda Maverick, and to come in and do that against someone as talented and as accomplished as Roberson, and just her second UFC fight, and now you're ranked already. This girl is a problem.
Yeah.
And only 23 years old.
I know, it's so young.
She's a problem.
I think you're right though. It's the business mindset that we
Yeah.
that we share here.
Not yet. I wouldn't have done it yet.
I'm just, it's a little bit like, guys, I feel like this is too soon. Like, this could potentially be a title fight.
Yeah, down the road. Yeah.
And instead, you're kind of putting it as like a co-main event on this fight night.
Well, I will go as far as say this, though. This potentially might not be the only time we see these two square off. I will say that.
That's completely valid. I think these two ladies are going to be in this division for a long time.
Yeah.
Wreaking havoc. It's just, man, you kind of wonder if there's going to be a missed opportunity down the line for this to be the first time they fight.
That's a good way to put it.
I won't harp on that too much because at the end of the day, their match, they both said yes.
Yeah.
Let's roll.
There you go.
As for the rest, we got to start with this heavyweight division.
I mean...
Now, truthfully, these guys were literally the entire news for like a week. I mean, while all these fight announcements were going on, ain't nobody was talking about any of it.
No.
It was all about Ngannou, John Jones, Derek Lewis.
Yes.
That's all it's been on. But now, this week, obviously, things have settled a little bit. For the time being, it's kind of that calm before the storm, I guess. The calm after the storm, almost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was that according to Ariel? They kicked the tires on Lewis and Ngannou.
Yeah.
They wanted it June 12th, which is what I said originally. Too soon of a turnaround for Francis. He wants to wait until July or August. Fair enough. John Jones asking for what I would assume is north of 20 million, I'd have to imagine. There's no specific numbers. He did say 8 to 10 is way too low. We'll put it that way. I don't know what's going on.
Here's why, I see so many people so, I guess, quick to
slander
the UFC or slander John Jones or whoever in
and
this
we're
situation.
just here right in the middle.
And I'm trying not to do that because... Yeah, I want to see the fight, of course. It's the fight to make.
Yeah.
But I don't have enough knowledge about
the situation. We don't know. We can see all the tweets we want by John, but at the end of the day, we don't know what's going on.
Even if I knew how much John was asking for, I still wouldn't be able to have much of an opinion on it because the UFC being a private company, they don't have to disclose all these payouts they give to their fighters.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. It's not always just the base salary. A lot of times it's the pay-per-view points. Got Conor McGregor being a big example. What I have said, though, is if John Jones is asking for the kind of money that Conor McGregor makes, then you guys are just going to have to accept that this fight isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen, at least for the time being. John Jones has never been a Conor McGregor level draw. As much as we would like to think he is, he's not. There's so many statistics out there that have evaluated his buy rates compared to like Conor's and stuff. I mean, and I don't want to turn this into like evaluating Conor compared to the rest. Conor's a whole other level.
Yeah.
It's just if John is asking for, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve that kind of money. Because they're probably UFC probably can pay their fighters more, but do I know? Like, do I have a solution in my mind to make that happen? No.
No. Yeah.
So I'm just they can fight it out, but I think we just have to start being realistic that this fight isn't going to happen if John Jones is asking for Conor McGregor level money.
Yeah.
Or more than that.
Sounds like it might be more.
That's what I mean. It does. And again, I'm not mad at him for wanting that kind of money.
Yeah, chase the bag.
I'm just saying that we're going to have to start being realistic, and maybe this fight will still... Who the fuck knows?
They meet in the middle?
I've been wrong so many times. Leon Edwards is fighting Nate Diaz. If you would have told me that a week ago, I would have said that was crazy. But right now, I'm accepting Ngannou's first title defense is going to be against Derek Lewis, in my opinion.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Man. I mean, my issue is if you're the UFC, you're banking on Francis to win. Because what if? Because technically, Derek Lewis has already beaten Francis. Granted, we don't like to talk about the fight, but just if Derek were to go out there and beat Francis, the fight's gone. John Jones versus Derek Lewis is just not what John Jones versus Francis is right now, at this moment.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do John versus Francis for no belt. I don't know. There's more options for Francis, obviously, but for John, it seems like there's one thing, and it needs to be a title right now.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, there's so many just risk factors involved. I don't know. It's a very thin line.
I don't know if the numbers are out there yet, but I'd be curious to see what the buy rate for UFC 260 was.
Mm-hmm.
Because, let's also be honest with ourselves. Ngannou versus Jones as a main event isn't going to sell a million buys. It's just not. Not right now. Can Ngannou kind of work his way to... Can he get a couple title defenses, knock out a couple guys, and have that more buying power? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to see kind of where he is at now, even though he's the challenger against Stipe, so Stipe's going to have some... It's tough to evaluate. You just look at John Jones, though, in all of his title fights, he's never really... Outside of the Cormier fights, it's never really been a guy that can get above, 500, 600,000.
Mm-hmm.
So if let's say that's what him and Ngannou does. Let's say it's 600. I'll even give 700. Is that really going to be worth for the UFC making the level of investment that John Jones is wanting them to make in him?
Yeah, it's touchy. It's a touchy subject. It really is.
And I don't want to. I feel like people might think I'm siding with the UFC. I'm not. I'm just being realistic about where we are right now.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Moving on.
This is fun.
We got some tough coaches.
About damn time. And
that
we would have never saw coming.
And I'm surprised. But
I like it.
I'm happy about it. Alexander Volkanovski and Brian Ortega.
Good for Volkanovski because he is a guy that is so incredible. But guys like me, being blessed express on the choo-choo train, we just tend to...
You don't like Volkanovski that much.
It's not even that I don't like him. It's just like... Yeah.
You don't think he deserves the belt.
How you feel about Poirier McGregor 3 is how I feel about Volk. And I shouldn't. I'm like, meh. But he is an incredible fighter. He literally has one loss on his resume.
He's got to get this Max Holloway monkey off his back.
And this is perfect for him. Everyone is going to be on tough. Now, this obviously isn't going to be like the hugest ratings compared to what they could have done, but still, I think it's a very interesting matchup here. It's a great fight. It sucks it got postponed, but it works out better for these guys, really, truthfully. They get to build their character, build their popularity on tough, on ESPN Plus, or however they're going to do it. And for, like I said, for Volk, it's huge because people are just going to get to experience him more as a person and learn to, like him more, and kind of maybe that Max Holloway umbrella that he's living under, it'll start to be lifted.
Yeah,
so this is big.
I'll be very curious if this fight gets attached to an August card, and then you have that main event of Ngannou Lewis or Ngannou Jones above it.
Supposed to start filming in late April. You might have said that. But just in case. Supposed to start filming in late April, supposed to air in the summer. And obviously for Ortega, he's already a pretty popular fighter amongst the community.
He's definitely a level above kind of the average. You know? He might not be a huge star yet. But he's got that X factor. He's a good looking guy. He's very humble when he talks.
I don't hate that they didn't go the route of some huge 2-name coaches. I like this.
Yeah.
And it's more of that competitive, okay, they're going to fight for the belt. This is big. They're going to have that competitive edge. And at the end of the day, the show is still supposed to be built around the fighters in the house. That's what matters the most. So they've got 2 great coaches here, 2 great camps. Ortega trains with the Gracies in California, Volkanovski with City Kickboxing. So the fighters are going to learn a lot that are under them. It really is. I'm really excited.
That's a great point, pointing out that this ultimately is supposed to be a vehicle for the fighters on the show.
Yes.
And the coaches are supposed to be there to help them and also build their title fight.
Yes.
So you got these 2 guys who aren't exactly the biggest shit talkers, but they're very confident in their abilities. And I think that's going to show. You're going to see, you're going to see some of that drama as reality TV does. But there's no doubt in my mind these guys are both going to be very good coaches, and that you're going to see some really good fights on here, and some guys really grow into it as they move along in the competition.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another big one for the UFC. Reebok, be gone.
Venom, come on in. They return.
Yeah.
Used to be really one of the biggest sponsors back in the day.
So,
With
Venom is now the official gear and apparel sponsor of the UFC.
Not shoes.
Not shoes. Reebok still shoes.
Till December.
Yep.
Makes no sense.
I mean, they got to wear something out to the...
No, true. True. I'm going to be honest. Now, the kits aren't anything crazy. We've seen the kits.
Yeah.
But I think they're better than Reebok. For now. And they're going to change. They're bound to change. Reebok changed theirs multiple times. There's a little bit more spazazz. Okay. You know, a couple more... They look a little more modern. You know, the lines. And they just look like sporty, athletic. A little bit more than Reeboks do. Colors are kind of all the same. The red, the blues, the greens, the yellows. The championship black and gold. So yeah, I mean, it's nothing crazy, but again, it's just the beginning, and I'm kind of excited to see where they go with this, because Venom is like one of the OG combat sports like apparel companies.
They have proven that at least as a company, they appear to be fans of the sport.
Yeah.
More so than I could say for Reebok.
They're like along the lines of like how Tap Out used to be viewed, like big pioneers in this sport of MMA.
Yeah.
So that's why it's nice to see them back with, obviously, a company, the biggest in the world in the UFC. So
yeah, I don't truthfully have too much more to add for this. I mean,
they debut this weekend,
right?
Obviously,
so that's
on
nice.
The card.
It's cool. You know, they don't look bad, so that's good.
Yeah.
But I mean, truthfully, they are very similar to Reebok, and I guess in a way, I'm somewhat disappointed in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of. Like maybe this is the UFC's like decision where it's like, look, we kind of want
a clean look,
the same,
a uniform, quote unquote.
But it is what it is. It's very much the same. Mm-hmm. Now, can they improve? Can they build on this?
It's gonna change.
I do want to see fighters kind of allowed some sort of personalization to their look
outside of just their name.
We talked about the camo.
Yeah, for Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah, stuff like that. I would love
maybe some diamonds on there for Poirier.
Maybe some flag designs for different guys.
That would be cool.
I don't know. It's just
a little
like imagine. Anybody remember that the big boxer Butterbean?
Yeah.
Wearing the American flag.
Yeah.
Shorts.
Like that would be what Colby Covington would come out.
If Colby Covington came out in American flag, it'd be pretty cool, man.
Yeah. But still the Venom logo,
If you had Colby Covington, some American flag shorts, and you got Kamaru Usman coming out.
With the Nigerian flag shorts. Yeah.
And then you'll remember that better than champion black and gold and blue or whatever Colby would wear, because think of like Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz.
It's fire and ice.
Fire and ice.
Oh, man.
That adds something to it, whether you like it or not. But
I like that idea of flags. I had never really thought of that. Because usually they just do like Conor McGregor would wear green. But it's not, like obviously, that's probably because he's from Ireland. But it's not like, the orange is not on there, the white. So yeah, I like that idea. That's something that could be very unique and cool. Sweet.
Yeah. Hey,
freaking
UFC, hire us.
We're looking, come on.
Now we have some results.
We're almost done with the news.
Yeah,
we're almost
This
done.
is actually from other events outside the UFC.
Yes.
Start with Bellator 255. Headline being Patricio Pitbull submits Emmanuel Sanchez via the guillotine choke. 3 minutes, 35 seconds of the very first round. Sets up a huge final matchup. AJ McKee
had the stare down at the end in the octagon. That was pretty cool. Or they're not in an octagon. I guess they're in like a circle, but you get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Pitbull's a beast.
It's getting harder and harder.
This is his featherweight belt, by the way. He has 2 belts.
It's getting harder and harder to deny that this guy might be the best featherweight in the whole world.
This guy is good.
I will say it's getting to a point, if he beats McKee, I'll at least would like to see him try.
A little bit of cross-promotion action.
I'd like to see him try.
Yeah, why not?
He completely starched Sanchez in here. And Emmanuel Sanchez, very tough fighter, very well-rounded.
This was a rematch, too.
Yeah, and Pitbull just made very quick work of him.
As he typically does.
Yeah, you get to stare down with McKee. It's the matchup everybody wanted to see.
McKee's an absolute stud.
And McKee's
man.
much bigger. You could see that in the cage.
That's going to be probably late fall, I'd have to imagine. So
I
not
hope
too
so.
far from now.
I hope so.
That should be a banger of a fight. Bellator really is doing huge things right now.
Also, Magomedov got his second win in Bellator. So just something to point out there.
True.
Also, they debuted on TNT. Maybe didn't go the way they thought it would.
No, it didn't at all.
So you start with Eddie Alvarez, who gets disqualified in his matchup.
Hits to the back of the head. Slaps. Hits.
So what one does is they have like the red cards and yellow cards, kind of like soccer. So he got red carded.
See ya.
Yeah, so DQ.
Done.
While the main event...
Okay. Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
One of the greatest fighters to ever grace the earth. Got knocked out. For the first time in what is now 30-plus professional MMA fights. By a grounded knee to the face. But it is legal to do grounded knee strikes to the face in one championship. And I'm going to be honest, I don't get to view much one championship, so I didn't know all their rules. I didn't know the rule book. So when he got kneed, I was like, well, son of a bitch. It's something's in the water these days. Nope, he got knocked out and lost. By the way, who did he fight again? What was his name?
Adriano Moraes.
Yes, he's a welterweight. Let's just be honest here. When they stared down at the beginning of this fight, Demetrius looked normal, like a flyweight.
Yeah.
And the opponent, what's his name again?
Adriano Moraes.
Adriano literally looked like a 155er.
Yeah.
I was baffled. We were texting in the group chat, like, holy shit, this guy's humongous.
Yeah.
And it showed, really. The strength showed significantly in this bout.
Yeah, I mean, you saw in the first round, Mighty Mouse looked great early. Moraes was able to take him down and really just held that top pressure, top control, I should say, rested around. Mighty Mouse not really able to do much with a much stronger man on top of him. Second round,
wow,
much the same, and then Moraes hits him with that knee to the face, and it was woo!
Out cold, man.
Yeah,
it was brutal.
It's the first time that Demetrius has been finished in his MMA
30-plus fights. And only, what does he have, 3 losses? 4 losses?
So, probably a mixed bag of a debut for one on TNT. I will say Moraes does have the makings to be kind of like a great face for kind of the smaller weight classes of one. And, he even talked about running it back with Johnson down the line, and maybe that can happen. Eddie Alvarez, that one sucks. I mean, it sucks because Eddie Alvarez is one of the best lightweights in MMA history. And it was the first time being back on American television since he left
they
the UFC,
put those two on this for a reason.
and it ends like that.
Yeah, awful.
It's tough. While Johnson, one has invested so much in him, he comes up short getting the belt. It's tough.
That trade all of a sudden looking fucked up for both sides, Askren and Mighty
Well,
Mouse, man.
I still think
it's just so funny.
I still think that I just think that Moraes, I mean, he was huge.
Literally, they shouldn't have been fighting each other. That's honestly how significant it was. It was crazy. I was mind blown.
I mean, it showed.
It was crazy.
The bettors didn't seem to think so.
Man, somebody made a lot of money last night.
Johnson was an 8-1 favorite. Moraes 5-1 underdog. Come on, man. Come on.
You gotta love an underdog.
You gotta put some respect on that Moraes, man.
He's legit.
But,
this is great for one. They're gonna be back on TNT a couple more times this month. It's good for obviously us, the American audience, to just get a little taste. Because when they always fight, it's always at like 3 or 4 in the morning. It's on like the Bleacher Report app. But now it's on prime time, 10 o'clock at night on TNT for millions of people to watch. And I hope people can capitalize the next couple of times we got it. So
yeah, well said.
Shout out to One Championship.
And that is all for the news.
So part 2 of this episode.
Intermission.
Yeah. And we're back. Okay.
Hashtag UFC Vegas 23. It's the second time UFC is going to be on ABC Network. Headlined by Vettori and Holland. And we got a 5-fight main card here, but we're going to start at welterweight.
A banger to start the card.
Yeah, Mike Perry, Platinum,
Platinum.
going up against Daniel Rodriguez Dominic.
D-Rod.
Take it away.
Mike Perry, 14 wins, 7 losses, 11 KO TKOs. He's got 7 of those finishes in the first round. He's 7-7 in the UFC. Came into the UFC 7-0, fun fact. Notable wins against Jake Ellenberger via brutal elbow knockout. A split decision over Mr. Paul Felder. A decision over Alex Cowboy Oliveira. And then a great bout against Mickey Gall. One of the best that we've seen Mike Perry through 15 minutes in the octagon. Notable losses to Noah's favorite fighter, Alan Jouban, via decision. Also lost to Santiago Ponzinibbio via decision. Max Griffin via decision. Got submitted by a nasty armbar by Dad Strength Donald Cerrone. Split decision against Vicente Luque. Got TKO'd by Jeff Neal with a nasty head kick. And then his most recent bout was against Tim Means. Lost a decision there. Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez, 13 wins, 2 losses. This guy's a stud. 7 KO TKOs, 4 submissions, 4 of those in the first round. He's 3-1 in the UFC, 1-0 on the Contender Series. Notable wins against Tim Means. He got that via submission. Also knocked out Dwight Grant. And the loss that's notable, of course, was his most recent fight against Nicholas Dalby. That was via decision. A very, very close war that those two gentlemen had. So both these guys coming off losses here. And 2 guys that really like to bang it out. This is violence here.
This fight would be a lot easier to predict if I really knew what kind of Mike Perry we're going to get.
That is a great point.
Because, you know, it's beginning to get harder to ignore that Mike Perry just doesn't appear to be the same fighter. Let's put it that way. He doesn't appear to be the same fighter over the last year and a half that he was before. I mean, you look at the fight that he had with Tim Means, which was arguably the best fight of that main card.
Yeah.
But he looked slower. He was more out of shape. He missed weight for a fight. He wasn't as toned as he usually is. It was all very noticeable. He's been kind of doing this very unorthodox method of having no corner besides his lovely fiance.
Yes.
Who is pregnant.
Born now. Mike Perry
really?
coming into this fight with Dad Strength as well.
Dad Strength, okay.
We could see a different Mike Perry here. I'm going to go ahead and do this, though. I'm going fight of the night with this one.
Oh, God.
Main card fight of the night. We get our main card.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right. It is so tough for me to say right now. I don't know. I'm struggling
for a
with this
slugfest.
one. Yeah, I definitely could see the potential for that. Daniel Rodriguez has a lot to prove here. He definitely, look, I watched that fight with him and Nicholas Dalby. That was also UFC 255. Rodriguez won that fight. Don't care what anybody says. Dalby did not win that fight.
Should be 4-0 in the UFC.
But, you know, that's not what the judges said. It was a close fight. I get it. I'm going to go Daniel Rodriguez. And I'm going to go Daniel Rodriguez via decision.
Yeah.
Got a hard time predicting Mike Perry to be stopped.
Exactly. That's where it comes into play for me. I think this is going to be just a barn burner, back and forth, nonstop action. I do think Rodriguez gets the better of him, really, wherever this fight goes.
Yeah.
Because I think it may play out on the ground a little bit, maybe, but I'm going D-Rod here via decision to start the night off.
If we see the Mike Perry of old,
it could be interesting.
I think that the best Mike Perry is better than Daniel Rodriguez. But, I mean, you even made a good point about his fight with Mickey Gall. That wasn't a year ago. That was last summer.
And he looked great.
He looked great. But before and after that, it's been very weird.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point.
So, I'm going to go with Rodriguez here. I could see it being a very close fight. I'm actually going to agree with you. Fight of the night. That's pretty much all I got to say about it. It's tough tough if I just don't know what kind of Mike Perry we're getting here. And that's going to be a trend when we talk about the main event later. But
true.
Moving on, women's fight.
I can't wait.
I was very close to naming this one fight of the night, but I didn't.
Can't wait for this.
Nina Ansaroff and Mackenzie Dern.
Yes, sir. So Nina making her return for the first time since the summer of 2019. A long layoff, became a mother during that time with Amanda Nunes in September of last year. So this is her first fight back. But don't forget, she's number 5 in the world right now at strawweight. And for good reason. She's got 10 wins, 6 losses, 4 KO TKOs, 2 submissions. She's 4-3 in the UFC with wins against Angela Hill, Ronda Marcos, and Claudia Gadelha, all via unanimous decision. Has clearly progressed during that. She went on a 4-fight win streak there. She does have losses. Carla Esparza back at Crowbar MMA.
Nice.
I bet that was a rowdy show. That was in 2010 via split decision. Then she started her UFC career off 0-2, lost both those via decision, went on that 4-fight win streak, but her most recent fight and her last fight was against Tatiana Suarez. That was also her last fight that we've seen her. That was via decision. Of course, Tatiana Suarez is one of the best women's fighters in the world right now. We just never get to see her fight, but she's never been beaten. So Tatiana won that one. Nina does have 2 of her finishes in the first round, by the way. Mackenzie Dern, 10 wins, 1 loss, 6 submissions, 5 of those in the first round. She's 5-1 in the UFC. Notable wins against Ashley Yoder in her debut. She submitted Hannah Cyphers. She submitted Randa Marcos, and she got a great fight with Verna Jandiroba via decision. That was such a back-and-forth fight on the ground, on the feet. Love that fight. Her lone loss was to Amanda Hebos via decision in another fight. That was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, true.
And what I like about Mackenzie here, she arguably could have been our fighter of the year in 2020. Went 3-0 and has literally looked better each time. And on the feet is where we've been wanting to see Mackenzie progress, because we know she's literally one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in all of the UFC.
Right.
She's incredible. Multiple world championships. The accolades go on for days. But the striking was lacking. But ever since, these last 3, since she lost that fight to Hebos, better and better and better. And in that fight with Verna, the fight was on the feet for nearly 15 whole minutes, and she won the fight there. Granted, it wasn't the prettiest striking, but you saw the improvements. However,
true.
Have the improvements helped so much that she can compete with a great kickboxer in Nina Ansaroff? That's the question.
Well, I don't think she's ready to slug it out on the feet with Nina, but I don't think she's going to have to. I think that Nina's going to come in here on a pretty big, significant layoff, nearly 2 full years. She's good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think she's going to be able to prevent Mackenzie Dern from taking this fight to where she wants to go. Mackenzie, very big and strong.
Man, her physique transformation, she's so physically leaner now, doesn't struggle cutting weight. She used to struggle bad with the weight cut. Now she's lean, very strong, as Noah alluded to. Very interesting there in the physical aspect.
I think that you're going to see a lot of top control from Mackenzie in this fight, and I think she's going to get a submission win in the second round.
You think she's going to pull one out?
I think so.
Yeah, man. So I'm going Mackenzie, but the toughness of Nina is the sole reason I'm not going with a finish. I think she's going to be able to tough it out. She's shown weaknesses getting taken down before, and I think it's going to happen again. Mackenzie's just such a high-level grappler. The fight's inevitably going to go to the ground. If it stays on the feet, I lean toward Nina, but I'll be interested to see how Mackenzie can respond to such a good striker. But like Noah said, this fight will go to the ground, and when it's there, Mackenzie will be able to control. She's going to try to get the submission, but I think Nina will be able to at least fight him off. Maybe we see some more ground and pound out of Mackenzie than we're used to seeing, and I think she ultimately gets a decision victory here and catapults her way up the rankings. I mean, Mackenzie is one of the highest prospects in all of the women's divisions right now, rightfully so, still very young. Ranked 11th, fight number 5. This is that big push for her finally. We'll see how she responds on ABC.
Here's an interesting one.
Cuban Missile
Happy
Crisis.
to middleweight. The Cuban Missile Crisis is back. Julian Marquez, Mr. Hannah Montana, Mr. Miley Cyrus, whatever you want to call him.
Oh.
Going up against Smiling
Sam.
Sam Alvey.
He ain't going to be smiling after this one. Sam Alvey, 33 wins, 14 losses, 1 draw, 1 no contest. He's had a fight in every way imaginable. 19 KO TKOs, 3 submissions. 14 of those finishes have came in the first round. 10 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw inside of the UFC octagon. Notable wins against Gerald Meerchart. That was at NAFC in 2014 via decision. He KO'd Cesar Ferreira. He got a decision over Nate Marquardt, a decision over Rashad Evans, KO'd Marcin Prachnio, and a split decision over Jean Vellante. Some notable losses on the record. He's lost to Gerald Meerchart. That was at Combat USA in 2010, so those guys are one apiece. Need to see that fight happen again. He lost that via submission. He got TKO'd by Derek Brunson, lost the decision to Elias Theodoro, decision to Talus Ladies. Lightus.
There you go.
I'm usually bad at saying his name. Got TKO'd by Antonio Nogueira, TKO'd by Jimmy Crute, and then his most recent battle was against Ryan Spann. Lost that via split decision. The Cuban Missile Crisis. Julian Marquez. Everybody's favorite fighter. Miley Cyrus's favorite fighter. 6 KO he's 8-2. I guess I got to start with his record. 6 KO TKOs, 2 submissions. Noah, you know the math. He's a perfect 8-8 finish rate. 100%.
Ring the bells.
Ring the bells. 4 of which have came in the first round. 2-1 in the UFC. Also got a win on the Contender Series. That came against Phil Halls, actually, who's now in the UFC. That was via KO. He submitted Darren Stewart and submitted Maki Patolo, really via Hail Mary, in a fight that he was down in. What a fight that was. And the lone loss in the UFC was to Alessio Di Chirico via split decision. So Julian's back already, and the missile's going to be firing. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Look, I hate to be this guy, but I really think this fight might be a little bit closer than we're thinking.
Man. I must say, Julian showed flaws against Maki.
That's what I'm saying. Look, he could very easily be on a 2-fight losing streak right now. And
yeah.
if he was, I feel like people would be a little bit kinder to Smiling Sam.
Yeah.
I get it. Sam Alvey has not been on the cleanest of runs. He hasn't had a win since June 2018. He's went 0-4-1 during that time. But he does have that veteran capability, and even in some of these fights, like Ryan Spann, that fight was so close.
And Ryan Spann's a freaking beast.
Yeah, and then even like the Jimmy Crute TKO, like he looked good early in that fight, and that fight arguably shouldn't have got stopped. It was a very quick stoppage by the ref.
And still, Jimmy Crute.
It's Jimmy Crute, and
Big
Julian.
Nog.
I'm not all in on Julian Marquez. Don't get me wrong. He's yet to really not face a significant opponent.
That's true.
Phil Halls.
He's had quite the resume
Phil
already.
Halls, Darren Stewart, Alessio De Chirico, and Maki Patolo. Those are all significant names who are on the rise right now. I want you to give your prediction first, because I know where you're heading.
The missile's landing.
Okay.
The missile's going to land in the second round. KO TKO for Julian Marquez. He improves to 9-2, all 9 wins via finish. It's just, I love Smiling Sam, one of the best personalities in the UFC, but there just comes a time where it's like, all right. And then you're putting him up against a killer like this.
Yeah,
That's
I get
just
it.
tough, man. Tough.
I get it. I do think he's going to keep that.
I think he holds his all, but he's going to get rocked.
I think he's going to keep that 100% as well, but it's going to be 100% of his losses via decision. I think Sam Alvey. I think Sam Alvey gets the win here via decision.
Shit.
I'm siding with Sam. Look, I could be way off on this one, as I've been before. I really think Sam. It's not necessarily that I think Sam Alvey has so much left, as much as it is. I think this is just. I really think this is a big step up for Marquez.
Still holes for Julian.
Yeah, and that's really going to be what it comes down to. Some of those veteran qualities that Marquez has yet to go up against, I think, could be exposed here against someone like Sam Alvey, who really does always kind of find a way to stay in the fight.
He's in tough fights, man.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Now,
This is my main event.
Okay.
This is my main event. The people's main event. Damn it.
Arnold Allen and Sadiq Youssef.
Super Sadiq is back.
Yeah, okay. Let's give some respect to Arnold Allen here.
Arnold Allen? Oh, no slouch, my friend.
Yeah.
What a match we have here. Matchmaking 101. Holy moly, let's just get into it. Men's featherweight action. Two top-ranked guys. Sadiq Yusuff. Both these guys, by the way, back in action for the first time since January of 2020. Can't believe it's been that long since we've seen them. And now they're matched up with each other. Woo! Sadiq, 11 wins, 1 loss. He's got 6 KO TKOs, 4 of which have come in the first round. Undefeated in the UFC at 4-0. Also a win on the Contender Series. That was against Mike Davis via decision. He TKO'd Gabriel Benitez and then got a decision in his most recent outing back in January of 2020 against Andre Touchy-Feely. The lone loss on his record, the guys that only have 1 loss, no matter who it's against, I gotta give him a shout out. It came to Luis Gomez at Titan FC 47 in 2017 via KO. So, Sadiq, he's been hit.
Yeah.
And he's been put to sleep. Mm-hmm. All right. He's coming into this fight, however, 6 wins in a row for Arnold Allen. 16 wins. 1 loss. 5 KO TKOs, 4 submissions, 3 of which have came in the first round. A perfect 7-0 in the UFC. These guys combined for 11-0 in the UFC. Holy shit, this fight is crazy. He's got wins over Makwan Amirkhani via split decision, a unanimous decision over Gilbert Melendez, and his most recent outing was against Nick Lentz. That came via decision. The lone loss on his record, I'm going to struggle a bit with this last name, but I'm going to give it my all. Marcin Rozcek. Actually, that came out quite smooth. That was at CWFC 69 in 2014 via decision. And wow, Sadiq's coming in on a 6-fight win streak. Arnold Allen said, hold my beer, kid. 9-fight win streak here for Mr. Allen. Noah. This is the way. This is the fight.
These are 2 top prospects who we just haven't seen them in a while.
It sucks.
You got to think, these guys are nearing their prime.
Yeah.
So all that growth behind the scenes, what are we going to see here? What kind of fight do you think we're going to see?
I think we're going to see a very technical fight.
Yeah, we didn't pick it to be fight of the night.
Yeah.
And I think there's a reason for
This
that.
is going to be a very methodical, I would say 95% if not all of the fight will be on the feet. I think both guys will have their moments in this. But yeah, as I alluded to, nothing crazy, not a crazy barn burner. But there's a lot on the line for both these guys. They got to be careful in a fight like this.
Considering that they haven't been the most active guys, you gotta think that there is a lot riding on this one.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I'm struggling with this one because what are we gonna see from these guys after that layoff? And I'm at least happy that both guys have had the layoff, so it's like okay,
Right.
I can assume both of them have developed and gotten better.
Oh yeah.
But is there going to be any ring rust from not being in there for so long? It affects other guys differently. I'm going to go with my gut. And my gut tells me that Arnold Allen is the more technical fighter of the two. I'm going to go Arnold Allen via decision.
Definitely going to be like kind of the linkier, longer guy in this one. Sadiq's kind of the short and stocky build.
He's going to have the power advantage, and I really think the longer this fight goes, the more it favors someone like Arnold Allen.
Yeah.
But Sadiq has proven he can go all 15 and still look pretty fresh. So.
I am so excited for this. I'm so glad they gave them the co-main event slot on ABC. I'm a huge Sadiq Yusuff fan, but that's no slouch to Arnold Allen. This guy's an absolute stud. But I think Yusuff can get it done. I think Nigeria gets another win here, one step closer to their 4th champion in the UFC. I think Sadiq Yusuff gets it done via decision. Again, a close, real back and forth technical striking battle here. Hey, could it be a barn burner? Maybe so. And maybe that would favor one of the two if they came out more aggressive and just caught each other off guard. You never know. But I think it's going to be quite the chess match.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this fight's going to be razor thin close. Now it's time for the main event.
The Italian Dream and the Trailblazer.
This is a hard one.
It is hard. Marvin Vettori back in action for the first time since, December is when he fought last? 16 wins, 4 losses, 2 KO TKOs, 9 submissions. All 11 finishes have came in the first round. He's 6-2 with 1 draw in the UFC. Notable wins against Cesar Ferreira via decision. He got a submission over Carl Roberson. And then that outing in December was against Jack Hermanson. He looked incredible, like he had just leveled up significantly in that bout. Went all 5 rounds and really won all 5 rounds. But it was a great fight. Incredible fight there. The notable losses, Antonio Carlos Jr. was a decision. And then, technically, Marvin Vettori is the closest in terms of scorecards to beating the middleweight king in Israel Adesanya. He lost via split decision in a fight that some say Marvin won. But we'll leave that in the judges' hands. However, he's coming into this fight on a 4-fight win streak. And, well, now we've got Mr. Kevin Holland. And I didn't have to take notes because he's just 2 pages back in my notebook. So it's pretty easy. But now, Kevin, 21 wins, 6 losses, 12 KO TKOs, 5 submissions. 11 of those finishes have came in the first round. He's 8-3 in the UFC with a win on the Contender Series. The notable wins on his record include Jeff Neal, that was at XKO 34 in 2017 via TKO. Gerald Mearchart via split decision. He got a decision over Alessio Di Chirico, TKO'd Anthony Hernandez, TKO'd Joaquin Buckley, a split decision over Darren Stewart, and then KO'd Jacare Souza, and still one of the craziest knockouts you'll ever see in the UFC. Notable losses, Thiago Santos via unanimous decision, Brendan Allen via submission, and then, of course, Derek Brunson most recently in that 5-round decision loss there that he kind of just got dominated in. So a guy that won 5 fights in 2020 was a lot of people's fighter of the year. Now coming in with a lot less momentum. Very interested to see how he bounces back, or if he can bounce back, I should say, against a guy as tough as Marvin Vettori.
Who's really hitting his stride right now.
Yes.
I mean, confidence at an all-time high for Vettori with that.
And I think still very underrated.
Yeah. This is a hard one. This is really hard. Because, look, Marvin Vettori, great everywhere.
Yeah, very well-rounded.
Doesn't really have kind of that defining trait as a fighter that's like, okay, I mean, he does have 9 submission wins versus 2 via strikes.
Yeah.
So I guess in a way, like, he is very more comfortable at finishing the fight on the ground, but it really doesn't show in the way he fights. I think that's more just, I actually think that's more of an outlier. I think he's really just kind of good everywhere.
Yeah. And he's only getting better.
And Kevin Holland's kind of the same kind of puzzle. He's definitely got his strengths everywhere. He's a very electric fighter. He's just he's this ball of energy kind of thing.
But as we just saw, definitely has his weaknesses.
Yeah, he definitely does. Yeah, I really don't know how this fight's going to go because Kevin Holland does look like he's had a big mental shift.
He's coming in with a different mentality for this one for sure.
So will that show through? I mean, is that really all it was in the Brunson fight? Is that really going to be the difference here? You know, is that mental shift going to be enough to kind of propel Holland over someone like Vettori, who's, you know, he's really in that same ballpark as someone like Derek Brunson. So I don't know. I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, you know, and I'd like to think, truthfully, Derek Brunson's great, but Vettori may just be a bit more well-rounded, you know, in terms of, like, the striking. I think his is a little cleaner, a little more crisp. Maybe not the power. Brunson definitely has the power advantage, but needless to say, I think Vettori may have more routes to victory. I don't know. There's just so many intangibles here because Holland is very good off of his back, but against Brunson, he didn't do anything off of his back. So, and Vettori, like I said, 9 submissions, so he's, you know, no slouch on the ground, but he likes to stand and bang with people. I mean, he nearly finished Jack Hermanson in that first round. He took his head off. So, I still lean toward Holland in the striking just because of that length. And he does have some power. But on the ground, that's where the biggest factors are for me. Like, what's going to happen? Is Holland going to be able to stop takedowns? Is he going to try to take Vettori down? Is he going to get up, or is he just going to stay on his back? Is he going to be active from the ground? There's a lot of questions to me if the fight hits the canvas. That's the biggest thing for me in this one.
You didn't really help me.
I'm sorry. Well, I'll give my prediction.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Italian Dream gets it done again. I think he gets on a 5-fight win streak here, inches a step closer to a rematch with Israel Adesanya. 4th round submission.
Okay.
I think the 5 rounds is going to favor Vettori, especially after what we just saw him do against Hermanson. Not that Holland can't go 5 rounds, but we saw when he did, there was just nothing that he presented us with. Now, could that all change? This is a completely different fight. I get it. It's just hard when you see what we just saw literally 3 weeks ago. I don't know. I think Vettori's just kind of the better fighter coming into this Saturday. Is the best way for me to put it.
Man, I am struggling with this one. I want to believe that Holland can bounce back that quickly. I want to believe that it's all it's going to take for him is just kind of a mental switch, and then he's, back to looking like how he did last year. But I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori. I'm going to go via decision, though. I think this will be a much closer fight than Holland had with Brunson.
What do you think, like, in terms of how it plays out? Do we see a lot of striking? Do we see a lot of groundwork from Vettori?
I definitely think the reason Vettori's going to win this fight is he's going to be able to get it to the ground.
The groundwork?
But I still could see a much more active from the bottom Holland here. I just think Vettori's never really, shown me any weaknesses when it comes to his chin or anything. So I think he'll take some of those shots from the bottom in order to kind of advance his positioning, things like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting fight. It's hard for me to even predict it in my head, but I'm going to go Vettori via decision. Even I'm very got a weird feeling about this one, but I'm not going to go there. And that's pretty much it for UFC Vegas 23. Make sure to check out these fights on ABC. What's the start time on these?
Prelims. Hope you got your breakfast with you. 11:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Main card, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right in the middle of the day.
Beautiful.
Woo, man. It's going to be a great Saturday.
Agreed. But until then, actually, I'm going to...
What's next?
Talk about what's going on.
They've not heard from us in so damn long.
So Monday, we're going to have our recap of UFC Vegas 23 per usual. Wednesday, we're going to go back-to-back
special
we're making
episodes. Up for the postponement with 2 back-to-back special episodes. The first being Noah's grand idea here. I must say, actually, both coming up, but we're only going to give you one.
So, since Venom is now taken over for Reebok, I think it's kind of appropriate to take a look back at the Reebok era, being from UFC 189 when it debuted to UFC 260. And we're going to give a list of our, what were the biggest, the best moments.
Fights,
of
press conferences.
The Reebok era.
Yeah.
Just as a whole. It's pretty open to anything.
Yes.
So me and Dom will each make our list. We'll come back here on Wednesday.
Cut the shit.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And then,
that Friday, Gastelum versus Whitaker.
Yeah.
UFC Vegas 24 preview. So that's next week's lineup. It feels so good to be back, damn it.
Yeah, agreed. But
we hope you guys... Oh, sorry. We hope you guys are happy to have us back. By the way, if you have seen our new cover art, logo, rebrand, hope you guys enjoy that. Went back to the OG color scheme. Noah's idea there, and I got to say, I loved it. We had our own little personalized touch. Let us know what you think about it. And if you haven't seen it, you can find it on social media. You can find me on at DSleeve14, Twitter, Instagram. You'll see the logo there. If you don't want to follow me, you better go follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, at BAJ_MMA podcast, and you're going to see the new logo there as well. It's everywhere. It's taken over the MMA community.
Agreed. And as for me, if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram, at NTBaker_, you'll be taken to our link tree, where you'll also find the new logo.
This is true.
Which gives you the links to all the platforms that the podcast is on, along with the social media platforms. That includes the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, and Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. It's all on there, baby. And there's a couple links for the Anchor page. First, leaving a voice message. If you haven't thought about an upcoming fight, news story, if you just want to say hi, or tell us we're a piece of shit.
Or remind us never to take a long break. Again, as Noah mentioned.
You got 60 seconds to do it there. And there's another link if you want to become a supporter of the podcast. That just provides with a few dollars a month. All that money goes back into improving the quality of the podcast, whether it be audio equipment or down the line doing a video podcast. So again, you can find all that if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram at ntbaker_. But with that, we're out. We'll see y'all on